Okay. Hello, everyone. A different shot tonight. We need different shots. Um, got my crib notes here, and oh, that little webcam glows. All right. Just some things to remind me here of things I want to do. First thing I want to do tonight is we're going to talk about basic techniques tonight, and I've tried to get the camera so like you can see a little from the side, a little from the top, a little inside the piano. Um, because first I want to show you what happens when you hit a key. When you hit a key on the piano, you can see the hammer coming up here, hope. It hits the key, the string, and it drops right back down. That action was invented by Bartholomew Cristofori in the year 1709. And it is, each key has, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 40 parts on it to make it do that. Now, here's the point I'm showing you. Once that hammer hits that string, it's over. The only thing staying on the key does is keep the damper up until the string eventually dies out. High notes last a certain amount of time. Really ones, high ones, they don't even have dampers on them. They don't last very long. See, it's gone. Low notes, we got to wait a while. Okay? It's important to know. So, the idea of staying on a key for any other reason than keeping the damper up on that key is wasted time and energy. Okay? So, now when you hit a key slowly, and of course that's done with softer weight, it's softer, louder. Can you play too loud? Some people say he bangs on the piano. You probably can. If you hit it like with a sledgehammer, it's going to make a very kind of what's the best word to use here? Screechy sound, maybe, because you're getting too many overtones out of it. So when pianists play, they want to get an even tone or even an even loud tone. That kind of a sound. But pressing down after you hit a key is going to do nothing. And that's very important to understand. Okay, now, and when the pedal's down, staying on a key is irrelevant. It's total waste of time. You can do it. It's nothing wrong with it. But in most cases, you're going to be late, or it's a bad habit to get in. Let's put it that way. Okay, so, and you can see the pedal, the dampers go up and down. All right. Now, every one of these techniques, and there are, I don't think you can play any of them exclusively from others, but I think the most basic one to start with is one we talked about last night, free fall. And let's do it without pedal. Falling into the key, as opposed to this, which, to be honest, nobody does. We don't do that. We don't play the piano with fingers like this. Now, we have legato. Yes, fingers are used a bit, but they stay close. They stay close to the keys, as I showed you the other night with Fiorelli's. Okay, that fingers stay close. Nobody ever lifts them like this to get out of the way. That's an error that's made with staccato sometimes. People will do the staccato and their other fingers are like this, like they're trying to keep them out of the way of the other keys. When I play the staccato like that, which we'll talk about in a second, but when I play the staccato, the other fingers can be hitting the keys. Okay, so we don't clear fingers out of the way. We don't lift fingers up high like this. And if you ever heard about that absolute insanity of putting a coin on the back of a hand, well, you're in a new world of hurt, because The hands are always in motion. The wrists are always relaxed and in motion. You ask a pianist to play anything, even a kid playing chopsticks. How long is that coin going to stay on the back of the hand? There is a thing called quiet hand. Now, quiet hand is where the hand is on the keys. This is considered a quiet hand position. I hate that word position because we don't stay in them. But the great pianist Earl Wild said that his quiet position was more like this, not like that. I think he's probably pretty close to being right. It's that hand hanging and dangling. The thumb is out a bit. But anyway, that's called the quiet position, and it infers that there's no energy needed to be there. Okay, so let's hit these techniques. We have the drop. That's the first one. Now, where do we use the drop? Well, I use it in places. Here's what piece I use it in. I had to actually think about this because we don't think about that when we're playing, but I use it in the beginning of this piece. I really don't play. I don't play a legato there, I don't think, because I want this note to be louder than that one. So, and I use my pedal to get the legato. So you're in the audience, you're going, he's using that legato. All those notes are long. No, I'm not. I'm using the free fall because I can affect the volumes a lot easier that way. So that's one example of where I might use a free fall. If somebody said play the unison version of the Ode to Joy. Now that last guy's not a free fall. He's a drop and roll. I hit the key, and I'm going to talk about those next. They're the most logical extension of the free fall, along with staccato. Free fall, when free fall comes right off, it's a staccato. When free fall stays, it's generally part of a drop and roll of X number of notes. But the beginning of the Mozart sonata, except for that. Now, except for that. But most of the notes I play there are free fall notes. And when you use the pedal, okay, you can see I'm dropping on all those notes. An ill-trained student is holding everything down. We don't play that way. Okay? Not that if he played legato. See, again, why don't I do the legato? Legato might work, but probably would. But I can't get the weight right. Bum, 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 bum. And I'm going to push away from that one. I have notes I want to make louder and softer. Why? Go back to our rhythm. Rhythm time. Okay, so that's the drop. Now, the drop and roll. I think I mentioned yesterday I wrote a piece called Step and a Skip. Oh, well, this had a simple 2-note drop and roll. It's like the free fall, only you do stay until the next note comes in, and then that next note brings the mechanism back up again. And the piece I wrote goes like this. And of course, the last note, well, that's kind of a thrust. We haven't gotten to that yet. Then I... Okay. Just want to get my notes here because I did want to... Okay, Mozart. Yep, okay. Right. So you can hear the drop and roll. You can hear it. Now, I'm not trying to cover that over with the pedal and make it legato. Yeah. But you see, I could kind of come close to doing that. I didn't want to do it there. I wanted long, short. a long, short sound. Let's take a piece that has the drop and roll in an interesting situation where you go quite quickly with it. Both hands are dropping and the left hand's coming off on the roll. Okay? Now you go quick, the piece is quicker than that. But essentially, we want those accents right. Now, eventually, it's also, you're not going to hear the da-dit so much. You're going to hear more of a da-di. You haven't got time to come off the key. That kind of thing. So it's still a drop. The hand gets trained for that. Okay, those are different. Those are thrusts. The Arabesque by Bergmüller also, he does this 4-note drop in, a 5-note drop and roll. Like the Pirate. Same kind of thing. Both hands go down. The right hand stays to come off that last one. That last one is very much like a thrust. Like I said, these techniques do not necessarily work totally independently of each other. But here we have a very clear a drop and roll. We haven't got time to go. We don't have time to do that. So instead, we come into that last note and push away from the piano. That's a thrust. I'll show it to you in a minute. Okay, so I'll play a little of that piece. The hands are going down, coming right back off. He's coming up. You want some more drama, you want to add some pedal, piece doesn't call for it. But if I wanted to, that's how I get my cake and eat it too, so to speak. The other thing about dropping weight is you can control the loudness. I'll play this very softly. Louder. That's just a matter of how much weight I'm dropping and how fast those hammers are going up, how fast the key is going down to make a louder sound. Want a crescendo? Then that way you can go up. You want a decrescendo? You can see it can be controlled with weight. Okay, that's drop and roll. Here's another drop and roll. I love this example. It took me about 2 weeks to get this working at college. I'll never forget working on this. But I'll just play it slowly as a drop and roll. Nice and simple, except it took me forever to be able to have the right hand play the real drop and roll, and then to get the left hand to do it going this way. That took forever, but it's just a drop and roll. It's all it is. I'll go a little quicker. You get the idea. Now you add pedal to that. Nobody would ever guess that you're doing drops and rolls. You get the idea, okay? I don't have to play the whole thing. But that's one of my favorite examples of a simple drop and roll. But when you've got distances to get, you can see why I sometimes refer to piano playing as hit and run. Because you're there and then you're not there. You're just not there anymore. You do the hit. Look at the right hand alone. What is it? No, that's, yeah. Now that, you've got to come off the key. You're playing this before you leave here. And that's a matter of accuracy also. But drop and roll. That's all it is. Drop and roll. What did I write here? Okay, staccato. Now, a staccato is like a fall, except you come right off the notes. And it's It's a very basic technique when kids play chopsticks. If they're very musical, you'll hear the group of threes. You get the idea. They're playing staccato pretty well at that point, unless they're like this and they're pushing the keys down. That'd be bad. But if they're playing it that way and coming off the keys, they're actually playing the piano pretty well. So staccato is that. It's just that. How high you bounce determines the loudness of the notes as you're going. If you want to play in groups of let's say fours, you want threes, but it's this is a fun one. Sounds like the Pachelbel canon, does it not? But it's a very light touch. You can't play loud with staccato. You can't get really loud because the very nature of it. The minute you do that, you can't go very fast. When you're starting to go fast like that, you haven't got enough weight in the wrist because all the motion is in the wrist for that. If you're going slowly, of course you could. But then you got to be careful you're not doing thrusts, which we're going to get to in a moment. Oh, man, the time is flying. Okay, so thrusts. Let's talk about thrusts. Thrust is where your hands start on the keys and you push away from the instrument like that, like you're push your way away from the dinner table, which a lot of us should do. Boom. You push yourself away. And as you, there's this little anticipation of pushing away like that. When you push away, you kind of go, push yourself away from the piano, Jeff. Okay. And you kind of come up to do that. You kind of come up a little to push away. So here, see that little anticipation of pushing, and I'm going to play loud now, so the fingers will come off the keys because I'm truly pushing away. And this is the Chopin Prelude, the best example of this type of playing you can do because it's consistently thrusts. Oh, no. Let's do it without the pedal so you can see how awful it sounds. You can see me getting to the keys before I thrust away from them. The minute you add the pedal, people think that you're holding it down. So there's the reason for that misconception. Now, thrust you can go pretty fast with thrusts, but not real fast because you need time to get on the key for it. About the fastest I've ever done them is probably in the Rachmaninoff C# minor prelude, where you're doing this. Okay, I missed it. Okay, but if you watch carefully, you'll see me getting there. I slowed it down a little bit so you could see I'm getting to that chord before I push away from it. But I'm off those keys. I'm off them. I got to get somewhere. You can see that. I'm going from here to there, and you can see the time I need to get there. Ghosts. Remember your ghosts. They create problems. The hands have to learn those. I didn't play from here to here when I started learning it at 15. I was going, okay, where's that next chord? It's somewhere here. I think I got it here. And it takes a while for the hands to learn that. As long as you're playing the right chord there and the right chord there, you'll eventually get it. But you can't race that. Okay, next is what did I write here? Rachmaninoff. Okay, good. Oh, take a simple song like Amazing Grace. Watch the thrusts at the beginning. See me getting ready for those keys? I'm thrusting away from them. Can I stay on the keys after a thrust? Sure, if it's soft enough. But But again, as I said, when you've got the pedal down, there's no reason to want to stay on the key. You won't see me doing it in a case like that. So anyway, the next guy would be rotation. Now, rotation is probably involved with das and dits. If I go, I'm playing something like that, you'll see my wrists sideways going. Play Hannon. You can see the wrist just following the playing fingers. That's fine. By rotation, we generally mean something a little bit more broad than that. And I wrote a series of exercises, which I later turned into a piece called Spinning Wheel, where I went through every combination of rotation. Okay, that's a rotation. If you look at my wrist, I'm falling on that thumb, coming off it, and the wrist is going up to follow the softer notes and to come up to drop back into the loud F sharp again. So I'm getting a counterclockwise motion of the wrist in doing this, and that's correct. Watch the watch. Maybe you can see this counterclockwise. I'll try to overdo it a little. If I do it starting on the top, you're going to start to see a clockwise motion. Get the idea? So I should have played it without the pedal. Now I'm playing a legato on that. Absolutely, there's a drop and roll involved. Absolutely, you can't separate it from that. Now the granddaddy of these things, to save some time here, we're going a little long, is the Chopin Harp Etude, which is I'll play it without the pedal, just so you can know how awful it sounds without it. You get the idea. You can really see those riffs, like mixing a salad of some kind. And you can see how much it depends on the pedal working, because you can't stay on these notes. I have kids say to me, I can't reach this, Jeff. I can't. I said, well, that's the reason for the rotation. That's the reason. And that's a pretty big rotation. That's a fairly large rotation. And that's one that kids at first are really confused by. I give this. It's the first thing I have them do for an exercise, just G's and D's. And the thing that they've got to get used to is that when you're going up, the thumb comes off the D, and when you go down, the pinky comes off the high D. If you watch me do it, see the pinky coming off this guy, and the thumb when I go up coming off that guy. So you're not staying on the thing. That's what they think that you have to be able to do. You don't. The whole point of it is to be able to play things you can't reach. I can't reach this. I mean, I can try to get it out. I have pretty big hands, but I can't reach that. But I can easily rotate through it. So those are your basic techniques. All of them involve coming off the keys. The whole thing is, remember, the piano is a hit and run instrument. You're here, you're there. You're here, you're here. Okay? That's hit and run. Okay? It's pure hit and run. And when you're told that everything has to be connected, it's nuts. You can hear, there was one thing I did want to say. If you have a scale like, see, the scale is not really that. The scale is da 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 da. It's in chunks of 4 or 3 notes that when you play it quicker, It sounds like long strings of notes, but we're really playing those small groups. You just don't hear them as well because they're not being exaggerated. But when you're practicing it, you've got to practice where those loud notes are in the rhythm. That's why I started this whole thing with rhythm. Anyway, I hope it was interesting, and I hope it was enlightening, as always. I'm not sure what tomorrow is. Probably just more examples of. Remember, all these translate to das and dits. Maybe we'll have a lesson on das and dits tomorrow night and how we can break down a composition into what it is we need to do based on the things I said tonight. They're all different tools, and you don't use a hammer to put in a screw. Okay? So that's what we want to explore. I see kids doing it all the time where they're using the wrong technique to play a passage, making it very hard for themselves. Anyway, where words fail, music speaks. See you tomorrow.